We're not starting the program yet. As you can see, people are still arriving. We had planned for this. But as you know, this is Washington, D.C. And as you know, as with all things, this is a live show. Our chairman, the Honorable Congressman Adriano Espaillat, is on the program to speak when the full program begins. He has been called to the floor of the House of Representatives, so he's got to run right now. He's hopefully going to be able to be back when we have the program, but he didn't want to let this moment, since he's here and he has to run to the floor, pass before at least giving a few words. So please welcome Congressman Adriano Espaillat.
Saludos y buenos días. What a great morning today to have you all here. First and foremost, because our president announced yesterday the extension of TPS for Venezuelans. So that's the first step, an important step, a critical step, a life-saving step for what should be comprehensive immigration reform. So we will continue to fight, and we will await his statements and his presentation tonight at the gala. But we wanted to thank you for your participation, and the Alumni Association is such a critical part of our organization, because every day you are a testament to what we can do as an organization. You really go out there in the community and you do best what you were taught to do, which is public service in many cases. But in other places, it could be the private sector, or the arts, or music, or sports, or just your local community board, your local parent association, your tenant association, your neighborhood groups that make America resilient. And so we thank you for what you do, and we thank you for continuing to lead the message of what this association is all about. And today, we're honoring two of our alumni, and they are very special to us. One of them is, of course, Bianchi Robledo, who is an important, and Priscilla Horta, who's also a kick-butt alumni. That's what we're talking about here. So I have to run to votes, but I didn't want to let this go by without telling you qué orgulloso yo estoy de ustedes. Y si ustedes se vieran desde aquí, desde esta óptica, vieran el futuro, el presente y todas las aspiraciones de nuestra comunidad. La luggage doesn't have space. Las maletas no tienen espacio para el nivel de sueños que tenemos, for the volume of dreams that we have as a community. That's why we're going to continue to move forward. God bless you and keep the faith. Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. I am Marco Davis. I have the honor and privilege of being the president and CEO of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. And I am pleased to welcome you to this year's CHCI Alumni Association Leadership Awards Luncheon. Thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate our distinguished alumni. Each year, CHCI and the CHCI Alumni Association are honored to present awards to two outstanding alumni: the CHCI Medallion of Excellence for a Distinguished Alumnus and the CHCI Young Alumnus Award. Both of these awards were actually conceived and proposed by the Alumni Association itself several years ago as a way to celebrate and honor parts of their own network who are continuing to have impact, have ever more impact as leaders in our community and in the nation. The Medallion of Excellence for a Distinguished Alumnus highlights the impact of CHCI's programs and the prominence of its alumni, recognizing a CHCI alumnus who has made an outstanding contribution to the Latino community. The CHCI Young Alumnus Award spotlights the diversity of the growing CHCI alumni body, celebrating a CHCI alum who completed their CHCI leadership program within the past 15 years and who exemplifies dedicated civic engagement and leadership in the Latino community. I think the thinking was that folks shouldn't have to wait many, many years to be recognized, especially as we see increasingly that newer generations realize there's no reason to wait to assert their leadership roles, to have impacts. And what better way than to show that folks, almost out of the gate of doing one of these programs, have amplified and accelerated the impact they're having. And by celebrating one of their own, the Alumni Association helps to continue to motivate not just each other, but future generations of CHCI alumni. So this year, we're going to be thrilled to honor two extraordinary CHCI alumni, Priscilla Horta and Blanchi Roblero. We're going to hear all about them. We're going to see and find out a little bit more about their lives and their work, and of course, we're going to hear from them. But for now, I am extremely pleased to welcome one of the most valuable members of the CHCI team, who's relatively new to the CHCI staff, just a couple of years, relatively new, generally speaking, to the CHCI network, but who has already made a transformative impact in the work that we do. And that is CHCI's Director of Alumni Affairs, Pati Mendoza. That's right. She works tirelessly every day to build and strengthen connections within our growing network of over 4,800 CHCI alumni worldwide. We are projected to reach 5,000 alumni before the end of next year. That's right. If you don't already know her, if you haven't already connected with her, if you don't already have her email or her cell phone, which I suspect many of you do, I hope you get a chance to connect with her either at this event or as soon as you can at some later point. But to hear from her, please welcome Pati Mendoza.
Buenas tardes. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I have the pleasure to support all of our alumni. As was mentioned, we will reach 5,000 by the end of the year, which is really exciting. I think about the power in the alumni network, all of the folks that are here today, and all the work that's been accomplished and that's yet to come. My work is to continue to support all of our alums by providing different resources, from opportunities to network, continued educational resources like webinars, and continue to build connections among all of you, but also to our community as well. We do have 10 regional alumni chapters and growing, our newest one being Northern California, that was formed just last week. I invite you to connect with our regional chapters. It's a great way to continue to stay engaged. We do also engage all of our alums right through all the social media platforms. We want to continue to be of service to you. So I do encourage you to reach out if you have any suggestions, ideas, needs. I might not have all the answers, but we have a vast network of support of folks that I am more than happy to help build those connections for as well. I would be remiss if I didn't make a plug for our alumni survey. We roll out the alumni survey every 3 years in efforts to continue to stay updated with our alums, but also to receive feedback on the work that we're doing and suggestions on work that's yet to come. So I encourage you to engage with us in that way as well. And I get the pleasure to introduce the president of the CHCI Alumni Association National Board, Adriana Baraja Martinez, who serves as the Director of Federal Government Affairs at the Entertainment Software Association. Please join me in welcoming Adriana.
Buenos días, buenas tardes a todos. I am so honored to be here today. Welcome to the CHCI Alumni Leadership Luncheon. where we get to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of our leaders from our alumni network. One thing I've learned in my 32 years, not so young anymore, is to be present, right? And I want you to, right now, take a look around you. Look around the table, look around the person sitting next to you. Think about how far we've come, all of us as a Latino community. We are, all of us here united to celebrate all the accomplishments of our alumni, and specifically 2 people today that I will mention later. I am so proud to be part of one of the fastest growing networks of Latino professionals in the country. And, short story, when I first came to DC as a CHCI 2015 Congressional Internship Program participant, I was amazed by all the Latino leadership and talent that I met through the Alumni Association. Today, several years later, I continue to be inspired by our alumni talent and all their accomplishments. As such, I'm super excited to recognize Priscila Horta as our 2023 Medallion of Excellence Distinguished Alumni recipient. And a little bit about Priscila is she is currently a supervising attorney of Project Corazon Lawyers for Good movement. She was raised by her grandparents from birth. Priscila never wanted to be anything other than a lawyer. Priscila remembers many summers when her grandmother would stop by fields to offer farm workers food and water. From her grandmother, Priscila learned of her Mexican roots and her family's fight for respect and equal treatment. From her grandfather, she learned the value of service to this country. Daniel, her grandfather, was a proud Korean War veteran who fought decades-long battle against the BA for his service-connected injuries. And it was in February of 2001 that Priscila's life changed forever when she got on an official early admissions to Harvard University. After that, Priscila learned about CHCI summer internship, and she ended up applying and was part of the CHCI summer internship program, class of 2002. Now I will let you guys see the video that will showcase a little more about Priscila's life.
I was born at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Both of my biological parents are Marines. Primarily, I grew up with my grandparents in Defiance, Ohio, in what we call a settled out community of migrant farm workers. Whatever my biological parents experienced both before and after the military left them in a position to which not even I was safe from them.
Her grandparents raised her, and her grandparents are who she calls mom and dad.
My grandmother had the force of will to move mountains. There was never a question in my mind I was going to go to college. And part of it was because my grandparents were very honest. They knew they were sick. They knew that they would not live to see me be an adult, and they were direct about it. My grandfather had passed. My mom at this point was very ill. I was washing her, feeding her. And I always say, like, Harvard saved my life, but I'm not really sure that they know how. It was because after she died in October, I had nowhere else to go. And it was also because it showed me a whole new side of life. A side of life that wasn't about caring for sick elderly people, a side of life that wasn't about constantly fighting for place. Harvard was about possibility. I learned that anything is possible and you simply keep asking until you get it.
My first impression of Priscila was, this woman knows what she's talking about. She knows her stuff.
I met this warrior for immigrants. I think that it was obvious that she was going to be an attorney. She has been always fighting for people, fighting for the rights of others.
Some of my earliest memories are going into these administrative courts and watching my grandfather fight for his Veterans Administration benefits. As a 5-year-old, I knew that they were doing something intentionally to hurt him, and I did not like it. And My grandparents were able to win custody of me, but they were not able to win custody of my brother. My grandmother said very plainly, "We had a lawyer for you, but we didn't have a lawyer for him."
Lawyers for a Good Government was a path for her to do what she loved, and that is to impact people face to face. Every day is like, okay, so what is she gonna do now? Siempre me sorprende.
My project has focused for the past few years on helping asylum seekers enter the United States and/or receive representation at the border. As things change in the ground, we are retooling ourselves to be an RGV Access to Justice incubator. This is a name I made up, but the goal is this. First, we're going to provide security and safety for immigrant families because I am an immigration attorney, and the goal would be to focus on 3 groups. Anyone who's eligible for citizenship, victims of domestic violence who are eligible for what is called VAWA, and any family member of a service member. In the meantime, through the incubator, bringing in all the rest of L4GG. We have environmental issues that need to be addressed here in the Valley. Guess what? We have an environmental program. Reproductive rights are an issue in the Valley. Well, guess what? We have a reproductive rights program. State legislative advocacy training is an absolute need for folks if they want to make a change. We can bring it to the Valley. But you can't do any of that if you can't focus on how you're going to make it the next day because you don't know if a CBP agent may pull you over.
Priscilla is a very inspirational woman to people that she might not even know she inspires. And I hope that everyone gets to know about her.
She has done amazing work in my community, but most importantly, she believes that we can still change this world and we could leave it better than when we came.
She's an incredible human being, and the way she keeps going, you know, and working, and the way that she puts herself out there to help people. I learned through her the passion of doing this work.
There is so much to be sad about, but you can't be sad about it. Sadness isn't going to get you anywhere. Do not let this lead you into despair, but rather let this radicalize you. That is it. Let it change who you are, and let this make you help others change too. Bring them with you. Yes, I am deeply disappointed in what was not accomplished by me and the other members of my generation. But we're just beginning.
And this is the power of our alumni. Resilient stories like Priscilla Horta's story. Priscilla, join me, or everyone, please join me in welcoming Priscilla Horta as our 2023 Medallion of Excellence Distinguished Alumni Awardee. Priscilla Horta. Thank you.
So for those who know me, I think it must be very funny to see this because I'm not normally very shy or uncomfortable. I am definitely both right now. But I am very, very honored to receive this award, and I wanted to, throughout this process, the videographers and other people kept asking me, what makes immigrant rights so personal? You're like a 5th generation Tejana, like why is this so personal? And I was taken aback because I was like, wait, I take this personally? And y'all are laughing because it's funny, because it's pretty obvious I do. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And what it boils down to, I think, is that I see myself in each of the people I help. And that is because I am, in many ways like them, a little lost, a little alone. My family life was not like many others. Many people talk about how their parents were so supportive and inspirational, and that's wonderful. But a lot of us are the people who are breaking the cycles, and that is a lonely road sometimes. And so with asylum seekers, with immigration law, I hope to build my own family and community. I have with me today people I have adopted as my own, both members of the CHCI class of 2002, who still talk to each other. who are still very engaged with each other. My friend Denise, who you also saw in the video, my boyfriend, my coworkers. And that is what I hope to leave you with, that even if you're the cycle breaker and you feel very alone when no one else is at graduation with you, when there aren't a lot of people with you at events, remember that we can build community. We are the ones who ended the cycles, which means we are the ones who get to build new patterns. And I hope that that new pattern involves integrating, welcoming, and bringing in new people into this country and into our lives. May we all remember exactly where we came from, and that at some point in each of our family's history, there was someone who came alone and made a new life for themselves. Thank you.
Now I want to present our next recipient. I would like to recognize Blanchi Robledo as the 2023 Young Alumnus recipient. Blanchi is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Legislation and Congressional Affairs in the U.S. Department of Education. Blanchi currently serves as Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Legislation and Congressional Affairs in the U.S. Department of Education. In this role, she provides strategic advice to senior leadership in OLCA, as well as build and manage relationships with members of Congress and other agencies. She also directs and manages the education teams for political nominations, ensuring that the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee advance President Biden's nominees. Blanchi holds a master's degree in education, leadership, politics, and advocacy from New York University, and 2 bachelor's degrees in economics and sociology from the City University of New York, Hunter College. And now, let's watch a video about Blanchi Robledo's story.
I was born and raised in Ecuador, specifically in the city of Guayaquil, which is on the coast. I think raising me was a group effort because my mom was a single mom. So it was mostly my mom and my sister, but I had like aunts and uncles and cousins, and everybody just had a little bit of participation in my child rearing. I moved to the United States, specifically the Bronx, New York, at the age of 14 for high school. And it was a tough transition, to say the least. You know, didn't know English. But I found a great group of friends. Everybody was super opening and welcoming to me. In Ecuador, my mom is a medical doctor. So education was always important. She's a substitute teacher now. Before, she was cleaning houses. She was a home health aide. She sold perfumes. But the question of me pursuing higher education was never a doubt. It was just how we were going to make it happen, and thankfully we would figure out a way to make sure I did it. Then I was really pushed to apply to grad school, which is what led me to do my master's in politics and education policy at NYU, and eventually led me to apply for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute Fellowship, which is what got me to DC.
When I first met Blanchi, she was, just energetic, really thoughtful, and eager to help. I think that's the one thing that's always stuck with me. A lot of the work that she was doing at the Department of Education was certainly informing policy. When she moved to Penn Hill after the Obama administration, I think that was really intentional.
The biggest takeaway from working at Penn Hill Group was the importance of bipartisan work. Learning to find those areas where we can find commonality.
A big part of my job as Secretary of Education is engaging with members of Congress to get things done in education. And Blanchi has been there from day one, first as a Chief of Staff and then Deputy Assistant Secretary for our office as one of my top advisors when it comes to Congress. I count on Blanchi's skills and knowledge all the time, on our budget, appropriations, nominations, our K-12 education priorities in Congress, and so much more.
You know, it's an important role because you're not only helping shape policy, I also see that role as a conduit between the Hill and the Department of Education, having strong partnerships, relationship, open communication, and dialogue.
Blanchi's journey is a testament to something I think we all understand, that being bilingual and bicultural is a superpower. Dealing with Congress isn't always an easy feat, but when you grow up having to code switch or culture switch, it makes you better at listening to other people. It makes you better at understanding other people and meeting them where they are. Having advisors like Blanchi is crucial to ensuring that our work and fight for students are rooted in values that matter.
She is a combination of practical and passion. You know, I think it's reflective of her choices. You know, she studied economics and sociology. And economics was just like a sure way of just understanding how this world works. And sociology, I think, is sort of what piqued her interest in terms of how the world works in a different way.
She's strategic, she's thoughtful, and above all, she's passionate about the one thing that matters most, making sure all students have the opportunity to succeed.
I think my main advice is take risks. I think we deserve the room to just be a little bit free and try different things and be a little bit bold and make those mistakes and know that it's going to be okay. Go out there and just do it.
I am thrilled the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute is recognizing an incredible member of our team at the Department of Education. Blanchi is a superstar, plain and simple.
When I think about Blanchi, I think about the template that she's carved, and I hope that my kids grow up to be like Blanchi, that they are as passionate, as driven, as values-oriented, as comfortable in their own skin like she is. I think she's just an incredible, beautiful person.
And now please help me welcome Blanchi Robledo as the 2023 CHCI Alumni Association Young Alumnus Awardee.
First of all, thank you for your introduction, and thank you to Secretary Cardona and Maribel for those very kind words. Querida familia, dear friends and colleagues, thank you for being here today. When I first learned about this recognition, I felt incredible gratitude. Receiving this award for the work in, on behalf of, and for the Latino community is a profound honor. This recognition truly underscores the power of community, which you all are to me, and prove that collectively we are able to make a difference. Resilience has been a key theme throughout my life. At the age of 14, I left Ecuador with everyone and everything I knew. I arrived to the Bronx, New York, and immediately began a chapter filled with challenges, a new culture, a new language. Even though this phase was riddled with many obstacles, it really allowed me to create a bond and fortitude. You know, being an ESL student, being raised by a single immigrant parent in a low-income community was no easy feat. Yet this taught me to be resilient and to approach these challenges with a strong sense of purpose. As a result, I received a valuable education, was able to work on the Hill, and has now served 2 presidents. I truly stand here in front of you as a result and proof that the proverbial American dream does exist, but more importantly, as a testament to my mother's dreams. Being on this stage, I am acutely aware that my story is not only mine. I'm going to speak in Spanish now. Mi vida está entrelazada con los sacrificios de mi madre, una mujer de inmensa fuerza que tomó la decisión de dejar atrás su profesión y a su familia en Ecuador, todo para darme las oportunidades que ella nunca tuvo. A mi madre no solo le debo mis logros, sino también la convicción de que el verdadero éxito se fundamenta en el servicio a los demás. Mamita, tú eres la luz que me guía todos los días. Gracias por tu apoyo, porque sin ti yo no estaría aquí. Okay. Sorry. To my friends, family, and now fiance, you have been my pillars of strength. Your love and guidance has taught me the value of community and the importance of lifting each other up, especially when the world around us is falling apart. Every late night conversation, every pep talk, every celebration has led to this very moment. Thank you for being my foundation. To my nephews who couldn't be here, Daniel y David, ustedes son mi inspiración. Seeing the world through your eyes reminds me of why my work is important, for your future and for the generations to come. I am so grateful to CHCI for giving me the opportunity to be part of this amazing network in front of me. The mentorship and ganas I've received since 2011 has reinforced the power of our community collective strength. It's been a joy to see so many fellows take leadership positions across the country and in DC, and I look forward to continue to supporting them. Sorry. In the words of Justice Sonia Sotomayor, another fellow Bronx native, as you discover what strength you can draw from your community in this world from which stands apart, look outward as well as inward. Build bridges instead of walls. Throughout my career, I've embraced this goal. Through hermandad, community, and collaboration, we can create bridges that empower us. Our work is not just a job, it's a responsibility. We must ensure equal opportunities for students who look and sound like me, and like many of you in this room. Champion their rights and cultivate environments where dreams are realized. When so much feels at stake, and it's more important than ever that we forge together and fight hatred, fear, violence, and lift up the voices that need to be heard. As we stand in the intersection of past struggles and future aspirations, let's remember that our unity is our strength. To my mother, to my support system, and each of you, I am eternally grateful for your unwavering support, encouragement, and love. Muchísimas gracias.
Before I pass the mic on to Marco, I want to take a minute to thank the national and regional boards. So thanks to all our amazing board members. We are where we are in terms of all the growth and everything we're doing at CHCI, and I want to give them a round of applause for all the amazing work they've been doing. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it over to Marco now.
Congratulations once again, Priscilla and Blanchi. Like me, it seems like everyone in the room was incredibly moved by those tribute videos. I do want to shout out our colleagues at Tribesman Pictures who put together those videos, who do amazing, amazing work, those films, frankly. Because they bring us in to tell us the real stories about our honorees. They bring us in to show us not just their leadership, not just their impact, but their incredible humanity, and that's what makes a program like this so, so powerful. So congrats to both of you. Congrats as well, in addition to Blanchi, who, as she referenced, just got engaged this week. So congrats. Selfishly, CHCI thought we were going to be the biggest highlight of her week. Probably not. But hopefully she still enjoys being recognized. Before we conclude today's program, I want to thank you all for being here. But I want to do one quick thing, which is I want to acknowledge the progress that we're making in diversifying the halls of Congress, which, as you know, started out as being, in many ways, the primary mission of CHCI. We've now grown to become, I would argue, a broader leadership institute that's trying to increase leadership ranks in all sectors, in all fields, in all parts of the country. But still, at the core of our work, there's still a great number of us who go on to take on leadership roles. And I would argue that as a result of the efforts of a CHCI and many other organizations and leaders, and now as a result of many of our alumni, there is an increasing and growing trend and pattern where we're diversifying the halls of Congress more and more every day. And it's as a result of that, we don't only have increasingly diverse offices in diverse staff in the offices of Hispanic members of Congress, but we also have increasingly diverse offices, diverse staff in the offices of non-Hispanic members. And we try to applaud those efforts, and we try to recognize people when they're making progress. And so there's a growing list that's getting longer and longer every day of members of Congress who've gone out of their way to increase the diversity in their own office. And so we try to celebrate that. And we partner, as you know, as often as we can with the Congressional Hispanic Staffers Association, CHASA, who themselves represent Hispanic staffers on the Hill. And so we're also happy to partner with them wherever we can in order to do things like that. And so it's gratifying when you have some folks, not just non-Hispanic members, but actually non-Hispanic members in leadership who take on those roles. And so I think a really good example, we wanted to take a moment to highlight just one office, and we know there's many others, and we will continue to recognize and celebrate all of those offices that are doing it. But again, we believe in giving credit where credit is due. And so we wanted to take a moment to recognize a really impressive, frankly, I would say, example of that effort, which is in the Office of Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Minority Leader Jeffries has been in his office less than a year, and already he's hired an impressive 9 Hispanic staffers. Many, if not all of them, are here with us today, one of whom actually serves on the CHASA Board of Directors. So I'd like to ask them to please stand and be recognized so we can celebrate the Office of Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. It's offices like this that set an example, that lead the way, and that remind folks on the Hill that it's not just the Hispanic members who can and should be hiring our leaders. With that, thank you all for joining us at today's CHCI Alumni Association Leadership Awards Luncheon. Thank you for joining us over the last 2 days at the Leadership Conference. I want to thank our host sponsors, Amazon, who has been our conference host sponsor, Bank of America and Somos IPA, who are our gala host sponsors, and TikTok, who is our gala entertainment finale host sponsor. It's the support of these entities that make all of these activities possible. And for those of you who are able and fortunate enough to join us, we'll see you tonight at our 46th Annual Awards Gala. But until then, have a great afternoon, continue to network, and continue building leadership for our country. Thank you.